Welcome everybody. Welcome back to the Prime Metal League Week 3 cast. I believe we've got Cerberus, excuse me, and Riftwalkers coming up in just a few minutes here. Hi, I'm Kazi, and together casting with me is my boy Tim. Tim, can you say hi to the people?
How are you doing, everyone? Great game one there. Just an
Oh my
absolute
god.
back and forth.
Straight banger. What a slobber knocker. Just a prime example of exactly how Prime Metal League games can truly look at their best, right? Back and forth the entire time.
Yeah, Murder Crows had that nice 6K gold lead to start off, and then BBB just continuously fought back, found some picks, took some advantageous fights, and just kind of swung that game. Then kind of owned objectives after that, and was able to just snowball from there.
And I think that's the big thing, right? Is that the more swings you see, usually the more fun we're gonna have, at least from like a spectating angle. But it looks like we're gonna be jumping into Cerberus and Riftwalker's draft here. Cerberus hovering a Lux for their initial ban. Uh, it looks like from blue side, we're going to have a little bit of priority on that. And then Riftwalkers are going to go ahead and immediately ban the Oriana in response.
Yeah, so a couple mages banned out early on. I need to pull the stats, but I think Lux has had a pretty good win rate here in the first couple weeks. I think that was the first mid Lux we've seen, as well as one support Lux game. But I'm gonna double check that for you for sure, because it seems like a fairly strong pick at this point.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, right? Like Lux has always had a reputation for being like kind of both very present and also underplayed at the same time, just almost because of ease of use, right? Like there's something to be said for a character just like working as intended all the time, every time you could pick them. And Lux is exactly that, like just a champion that's really, really good at doing exactly the thing. And while maybe not exactly the most flexible, the most mobile, or the most like 2026 style League of Legends champion, like it's still really good at what she does.
Yeah, which is obviously just provide CC a long range ultimate, which is on a short cooldown. I think Graf said that was at 19 and a half seconds at that late game. So it's just something you can spam, as a pick point, but also in the middle of a team fight as well.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Looks like we got our first couple of picks in though. We're gonna have Yunara, who is for sure a 2025 League of Legends champion, going over to Cerberus. Riftwalkers responding with Ashe and Seraphine, and then Cerberus coming back with a Lulu and a Jarvan the fourth. What do you think about that so far?
That's a really fun 2v2 to watch. I mean, Ashe Seraphine has just been such a powerful kind of meta pick for the last couple weeks here, last couple patches. Just the pick potential with the Ashe. It's such an easy go button. It really puts an ADC's life in trouble and in jeopardy just standing in mid lane in mid to late game, because you never know when an Ashe ult can come, and then side pressure with a Seraphine ult thrown on top of that is just, it's terrifying. But then we got on the other side a couple hyperscaler. Yunara is one of the best one item spikes ADCs for sure in the game right now. When she gets cracking, she is fully online, and you got to expect her to use that aggressiveness early on, especially with the Lulu, where you get the buffs, you get the peel, you get the big ultimate with the knock up and the slows. Just a lot of good tools to use, but I would expect a cleanse to come through for the Yunara on the side of Cerberus for sure.
Yeah, and at the same time, Riftwalker is really looking to continue that theme of go button with the Hecarim coming in, banning out a couple of the mid-range year champions with Rise and Gnar. And then Cerberus just banning for power as well with an Aurora and a Cassante ban. As
Yeah,
we pass back over to Riftwalkers as their timer ticks down on the fourth pick, they're going to go ahead and lock in Ziggs here, which is seemingly antithetical to what the rest of their comp is doing, but I'm interested to see how they make it work.
Yeah, I think they're just gonna try to layer it on. If Sarah Fiend hits a good ult, you're just gonna zig ult on top. Provides a little more poke. Um, Another kind of immobile champion though, which is something that a Jarvan player, their eyes just light up. Ash Seraphine on one side, no one's getting out of that unless they have flash. A Mel is a great counter pick to this. All of a sudden, that Ashall that I was talking about coming down mid lane has a lot less power if there's a Mel standing remotely close that they can just send it back at any time. The Jax hover as well. So Jax could be locked in out there on the top side. I like the strat for Cerberus.
Yeah, Mel Jax is just a couple of pretty powerful, I would say like staples in their respective roles, right? Like just really reasonable champions to pick that kind of work anywhere. Jax especially looks really good against these less mobile champions in the Ashe and the Seraphine, but definitely lacks a little bit of that early game aggression when compared to somebody like Renekton, who Riftwalker is going to lock in on the other side.
Yeah, so that is big for Riftwalkers. They're going to try to punch that top side for sure. They do not want this Jax to get to late game with any sort of agency at all. So I'd imagine they're playing top side a little bit here. Let Ashe Seraphine just kind of hang out bot, kind of do their thing, just get good vision down for Jarvan, and try to stall out that game as long as they can. And yeah, we'll see if Renekton can snowball this top lane. I think that is definitely the lane to watch here early on.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we've got, I mean, overall in terms of lanes, we're looking at a few handshake lanes, right? Mel into Ziggs or Sarah is going to be, pretty calm. Both long range mages, both not really trying to interact a lot in the early game. And then we've got the bot lane, which is going to be like two enchanter / caster mages and two long range scaling ADCs who don't really want to touch each other very much. They just want to get their farm up, play for late game. Two very aggressive junglers who are both decent skirmishers and good at ganking while they both lack objective control, meaning that they do have to be able to find an advantage in a lane in order to take objectives. And that's going to mean that we're going to see a lot of concentration, or the game is going to be pretty centric around these junglers moving around the map, but also top lane is the only lane that's reasonably volatile, right? Like, it's the only lane that looks swingy at all, at least going into it.
For sure. And this is a couple of times we've seen this Hecarim pick here for Magician. I actually got to seen it a couple of times in person. One in week 1 where Murder Crows didn't have their jungler and he filled in just for that little exhibition game. Very proficient on the champion. And actually we scrimmed Riftwalkers this past Saturday. And again, we got to see the Hecarim in full force, and it was it's always a problem when Magician's on that Hecarim, so it'd be exciting to see.
Yeah, thinking back to that game, that Hecarim was definitely an issue the entire time. It did not look easy to deal with for, who is it, Riftwalkers again? At all. Or not Riftwalkers. I'm going to be honest, I forget the other team on the other side of that match. It was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it was.
But Hecarim is just, no, go ahead.
I think it was Sock Puppet Rodeo. Was that week 1?
Hecarim is just one of those characters where, like, he's kind of always a little problematic if you don't really know what to do against him. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, especially he is so good at holding his ult. A lot of people just like to kind of dash right in with Ghost and then ult the backline. But there's a lot of patience that comes with that with a good Hecarim player, and he certainly has it. As we are about 45 seconds from loading into this one, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what that top lane matchup is going to be. If Renekton can push that, strong 1 through 5 levels early against this Jax, and we'll see if this Jax can hold out. I mean, you have the 369, tag. Where else can you really go wrong?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially with that kind of tag. You got to do it right. Like, you didn't come here to just be an average Jax. You came here to be the Jax. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. That being said, which comp do you think you like better overall?
Oh, that I just go back and forth. I really like the Riftwalker side just for the Ash Sarah, but it's gonna come down to how well Mel Reflect is used in this game. If it's used kind of willy nilly on like a Ziggs Q or like a Sarah Q or even an Ash W, yeah, probably going to be really tough for Cerberus. But if Mel can be patient and hold that ability for the go buttons of Ash ult and Sarah ult, and you send that back the other way, it's one more tool that that Cerberus gets to use in their favor, and one less tool that Yunara has to worry about flying on her end. So
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's going to be pretty critical to be able to use this or sorry, I always forget it's not an ulti. The W of this character that's definitely not overloaded at all whatsoever. Can really turn entire games. Like, I don't. Maybe you can tell me do you know how Ziggs ulti interacts with Mel's W?
I mean, it should be a reflect. I mean, it's
I would think so, right?
ooh, that's a
It
great
feels like a
question,
projectile.
right?
Yeah. But it also seems like the exact kind of thing that where Riot would be like, no, actually, we've decided this one doesn't work that way for
Right.
some
Yeah.
arbitrary reason.
Yeah, it is considered a projectile, so
Okay.
that would get blocked by wind wall, Brahms unbreakable wall, and obviously Mel W as well.
That's kind of sick. I am glad that is the case. Because that does sound funny, and I'm always in for funny.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
whenever there's just like goofy sort of things that happen, um just in the game in general, just funny interactions, whether it's like
Mhm.
a weird Poppy knockup or Tristana trying to jump and then all of a sudden getting stunned in a Vygar cage. Or a couple worlds ago when Silas stole Galio ult and then Silas ulted as Galio and Galio also ulted as Galio. And they're both flying up in the air, just way over the map in the river in a dragon fight and coming down, crashing down. Just stuff like that is honestly what I live for in League of Legends. You just get these awesome interactions for a game that's been out 15, 16, 17 years now. It's just you learn so many new things every time you queue up.
Back when I was a youngin, there was a cyclical bug where every other patch on PvE, you would be able to smite your way out of J4's ulti. It was nice.
Smite your way out of J4 ult.
Yeah. It's
That
always
is
been coded
something.
as minions, but like you used to be able to just smite your way out if you could click properly because it was like a really tight group of minions, but it was minions. And if you smited and clicked the right way, you could slither out. There were
That
points
is
where you could just
something.
slither out, actually. There were points where you just skip all that and you just like walk out
You're
if you
like, oh,
could.
sorry.
Yeah.
That wall doesn't exist to me anymore.
Yeah, as long as you could deal with the minion collision, like you just walk out. It was nice. I miss the good old days.
You remember when you could smite one shot pets like Tibbers and like York
Wait, you
Maiden?
can't do that?
No, sadly you can't
Dude,
do that
whack.
anymore.
That was great. That was working as intended to me. I thought that was supposed to be how it worked. All right, so it looks like we're getting into game here. Um all right, sorry, just had to zoom in a little bit. Looks like we're gonna get in the game here. Got a standard fan coming out, no tricky invades. We'll take a look at the bot lane to see if they decide to play up in brushes, but they've warded each other out. So Hecarim's going to get a little bit of vision back and immediately go red side to try and mirror this Jarvan with the little information they have. Overall, looks pretty peaceful. Oh my god, I forgot how fast the game starts now.
Yeah, that's the only unfortunate thing. They kind of took away those cheeky level 1 invades.
Yeah.
Everyone still does a standard fan out, but there really isn't much use for it unless you think a jungler is gonna counter jungle you.
Well, I think the standard fan out is more just to like, it's just optimal and there's no reason not to do it more than anything else. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. Like it doesn't hurt to check. There's no opportunity cost, realistically speaking, unless it's bot lane. But you can see that in the bot lane, they did the thing where they walk up, check the middle brush. Oh, okay, nobody's there. Oh, we both
Right.
warded it. I guess we don't get to cheese this one.
And Yunara does have the cleanse, so we'll also see how quickly Lulu goes with the Mikhails as well. I'm sure try to keep Yunara in the live with extended team fights is going to be what Cerberus wants to do, wants to accomplish in this game.
I would assume so as well, yeah. I mean, both teams are like pretty fragile, honestly. Both lacking what I would consider like true tanks, right? Still definitely not the easiest to kill between their top and jungle duos, but definitely no Malphites running around in this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no Malphites, no Orns, no Mundos, nothing to speak of in that sense. Renekton with a good little trade there, top side.
Yeah, definitely is a way in a really solid spot here, considering what he wants to do with the game. Which is mostly just build an advantage through lane. Jack's going with what essentially feels like an iffy cheater recall, having shoved the wave in substantially, but not quite to the point where it'll pin the enemy champion under turret. But still going to be able to go and spend some of that gold that he's earned from the first couple waves. Ruby Crystal, every stat you can get against Renekton is of outsized value, especially in the early game, right? Because you just need to live. But definitely feeling like a reasonable position so far for what could be a pretty explosive lane.
Yeah, Jax, like you said, just wants to survive until late game. So stacking health, stacking resistances. I'd imagine a quick armor, plated steel cap's gonna come out from 369 as well. So
yeah, definitely going to be one of the slower early games you're going to see, at least so far. Bot lane push is going to go the side of Cerberus, which matters because we're actually getting, we're 4 minutes in. We have first dragon at 6 minutes, and we've got the Hecarim up top, which means that they're going to be back in time to reshove this lane during the timer on Riftwalker's back, in order to try and get this dragon with their junglers finishing their camps on their second clear.
yeah, Cerberus did a good job there, pushing that lave in. Lula traded quite a big chunk of the health bar, but it didn't matter with the wave state that they had. They can back on them out, and a call for Yunara on the first back.
Yeah, Cole definitely indicating exactly what they're going to be playing for in these lanes. Just looking to out farm, outscale, out CS, out all of that. Really just wanting to essentially outlast the other ADC, rather than using like in-lane mechanical outplay and explosive gold leads. They really just want to grind it out over time. Cole being an excellent way to do that, being one of very few gold positive items in the entire game.
Yeah, and this bot lane for Riftwakers really doesn't have kill threat unless someone to overstep in the worst way possible until level 6, until those all come out and they can layer that CC and do the damage that way.
Even then, though, it's really difficult to get in all in onto the Lulu bot lane. And I would say that I think, I'm not 100% certain, but I think Cerberus has a little bit of an XP lead, which isn't going to give them a lot of all-in power at 6. Yunara Lulu, while very, very survivable with their level 6s, not very... Oh, it's actually... This is exactly what I was talking about earlier. The reshove on the Yunara lane has given Cerberus prio on this dragon, able to shove off Riftwalkers with the timing that they had from their original push 2 minutes ago. And this is going to be them getting position. Whether or not they do anything with it is a different story, but they're certainly going to be able to prevent 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 Riftwalkers from taking it without at least paying some type of tribute here.
Yeah, and it's really tough now with the changes a couple patches ago to do an early drag. It does so much damage and
Yeah.
has so much HP that you can no longer just like, oh, kill bot lane, even get like one pit lane, run to drag and do it with the HP and the damage that dragon does with home guards as well. People get on the map so much quicker. Tempo is so much sped up that it's hard to just take that quick pick, even if it's, you know, pushing in a wave like tempo, like you said, where they got the repush there, and turn that into an objective.
Yeah, again, as your local old man, back in my day, dragons hurt. And dragons were meant to
for
beat
sure.
you up. Yeah. Gold Dragon used to be the like you used to win Gold Dragon and used to be, oh, I guess we don't get to play for the next 15 minutes because the enemy team got 2,000 gold off this objective. I miss it. I miss when League of Legends was bad. Every day I pray for the game to get worse so I can feel something again. But yeah, just a lot of footsies going around. It's worth noting one of very few places where Riftwalkers does have anything close to a substantial lead in this game is in the jungle. Hecarim being up a full 2 camps, and maybe more importantly, what seems to be quite a lot of tempo, having finished an extra back over this over the J4 on the other side, is potentially going to provide a little bit of a makeup point for that prio that they lost a little bit ago. However, at the same time, there is something to be said for it only making up for the prio loss rather than becoming a tempo positive play just because they had lost it in the first place.
Yeah, and
Oh, it looks like
ooh,
we're looking for something.
Ooh.
All right, so it looks like J4 is going to try and flag and drag his way in. He's going to go all in on the support. Renekton's actually going to be there with a counter gank without using his TP. There's going to be another ulti coming in, and J4 is going to be a little bit cut out here. He's not going to be able to quite get out, and he's going to give up first blood. That's going to go to the enemy Hecarim. And maybe the worst part of that is that Riftwalkers is going to burn almost no resources for that entire exchange, having sent down their mid laner and losing maybe just a couple minions mid. Ultimately just finding way better timing on roams than Cerberus, which is important because that stems back, or which stems back to the tempo lead that the Hecarim generated, because they wouldn't have been able to force that 4v3 if he hadn't been able to pick up some of the slack from the early game with that like 2-3 camp lead and the extra back.
Yeah, we talked about the ult potential of the Ziggs. Obviously, that and that giant kind of semi-global, just got to that fight quicker than Mel. They're talking pretty similar pace, but Mel just obviously can't match that tempo with a semi-global ult or the Ziggs ult. And good job by Riftwalkers, kind of laying their CC best they could. A little bit of a messy fight there to start. Burning the flash of Seraphine, dodging the Jarvan EQ, but able to get it done anyways.
Yeah, definitely something to be said for Ziggs roams being usually a little bit easier on timing than a lot of other mid laners roams. Just because of the nature of the range of the champion. Even just like an extra 2 seconds because your ulti has like the semi-global range can be really important in a fight like that, where it means that even if you're not necessarily present in terms of like your actual character model, your damage is present significantly sooner than the enemy mid laners.
A little surprised about the CS difference in the top lane. Jax is on top, which is, I mean, if you're even or even slightly ahead as a Jax Renekton matchup, you are just loving life. As long as you can get to mid-late game, you're going to be more than okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if you're Cerberus here, you're disappointed in losing that early skirmish around the dragon. But there's still definitely points that you're happy to see. Your bot lane is relatively even despite the loss of the skirmish. And having the Jax in a good position to scale, I think, is legitimately very critical for any given team when they're playing into such an early game focused aggressive top laner here. Jax actually finding a good chance to proxy as they have to have known that Hecarim found his way bot here if he's going to take this aggressive of stance. And frankly, with the plated steel caps already finished, probably going to be able to get away relatively unpunished, maybe even take a camp. Definitely going to get some deep vision here. Overall, pretty profitable exchange there for the Jax, actually. I'm surprised they couldn't find any punish for it, but just excellent opportunistic play coming out there from X8.
And a big ulti layered. A lot of time spent at bush by Magician, but it pays off getting the double kill. Are they going to try to go for more here?
Argyle looking for trying to return something here, but it's going to be really difficult, and they're going to find a dive. Oh! Just barely killing the Ashe on the other side. She's going to finish an item on the back, but that exchange is ultimately going to go the way of Cerberus, which is going to be pretty big. Ultimately, not necessarily the people they were looking for. The bot laners are not particularly fed, but frankly, taking any gold where you can get it again with this top lane in the spot that it is just going to be really, really beneficial to your game plan. Like, I think I'm very, very happy with Cerberus picking up those couple of kills to just try and claw some of this gold back.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta take what you can. You just, again, a good counter or a good lane gank set up by Magician, as he's now 3-0-1. This little scuffle on the top side doesn't really amount to much, but I think they had just a great timer because Yunara cleanse was almost up, and Ashe sent that all right at her face probably 3 or 4 seconds before she had cleanse, and they took the brunt of it right there with that combo.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely not an enviable spot to be in with a bunch of CC being layered on you when you're playing the AD carry position for sure. Always just like a little bit tough to find your way out. And honestly, even on a dive, like you're just so vulnerable to the ramped up turret. The big thing is that they didn't find a way to reset it. So those 2 turret shots did like fully ramped damage when if they had taken the time to reset, they might have been able to find a little bit themselves a little bit less vulnerable to the full amount of damage that the turret can deal. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, we all make mistakes, and we definitely gonna have to live with them there. So,
yeah, absolutely. And with the Yunara Lulu lane having a lot of shove, it was just a great idea for the Hecarim to come through the lane. King Rolly has now put a deep ward in that first bush, as you see in the top right side there, to make sure they don't pull that plan twice in a row and get burnt by it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely always a good idea to make sure you don't get beat the same way twice. Not just because it's important not to be getting beat, but also because there is maybe nothing more demoralizing than getting death pushed by the same thing 2 times in a row. Like, it truly is demoralizing when you decide, oh, we're gonna lose the exact same way twice. But hey, it is what it is. We're actually gonna have, even after that Ashe death, she's generating a pretty substantial lead here, honestly. The gold hasn't actually closed that much, maybe 100, 200 or so. But we've still got substantial leads for Riftwalker's bot lane and for their jungler as well.
Yeah, Hecarim is up quite a bit of gold on J4 and is trying to levy that into objectives. Obviously, 2 dragons on the side of Riftwalkers. It looks like it's going to be a Herald contest here with Magician kind of walking in now, or trying to. The polymorph immediately from the Lulu. They have numbers. Ashe Sarah not there. Ashe ult is up though.
And there it is coming in. It's going to go ahead and whiff, but we're going to go ahead and take the Herald on the side of... oh, actually, I think Cerberus picked up the Herald, landing the smite, trading it for the J4. Heads up TP here from the Ziggs to prevent a lot of shove on the spot lane turret. and he's obviously going to be able to outpush this Yunara, especially at this point in the game. I'm not sure if I would call that trade exactly even, but definitely important for Cerberus to protect one of their turrets and keep it standing for a little bit longer when almost all of them are one Herald charge from death.
Yeah, you would have loved to have Argol take his bot camps before going into that Herald, but instead, like, yeah, of course you get the Herald, but you just lost so much EXP losing your top side of your jungle as a Magician, with that one item and Lucidity Boot clears in a hurry. I mean, that is a power fire if I've ever seen one before.
Yeah, for sure. Let's take a look and see what we've got here. The flash and ulti out from the J4 trying to target the Seraphine. Seraphine's going to respond back with a flash of her own, getting out of that. And we've got a little bit of taunting coming down from Krexen in the bot lane here. Or, sorry, on the bot lane or in the mid lane, excuse me. Respect. Sometimes you have to show them who's the boss.
And that's just a little too much forward movement from the Seraphine. You just lost your flash on the flash ult from Jarvan. EQ is such an easy way to get on top of you, and Sarah did not respect it. Just too far forward. Barely leaving the tower range, but that's still too far forward for Jarvan.
I believe my boy Alois says it best. They should have considered playing safer. Always a good idea to play safer.
Fundamentals.
Yes, fundamentos. What are we doing here if we don't have fundamentos? You know what I mean?
Exactly. If you're not having fundamentals, you're not watching level up timers. Like, are you even playing League of Legends?
Are you even a League of Legends, or you know what I'm saying?
If not, then you're just a piggy.
The League or the Legend. All right,
good short trade once again from 369 here on the top side.
Yeah, but I mean, we're just at the point in the game where if Renekton hasn't found a substantial gold lead, which actually, let me roll that back. Renekton has a substantial gold lead, but perhaps not generated quite in time to prevent the Jax from just matching him with the full Triforce and the steel caps here. Maybe just like not a good enough spot for the Renekton to win this lane anymore, but I'm sure we'll find out in a few minutes here. I, for one, am excited to see how this top lane continues to play out, but like, look at both of them, and they just look like such blobs. This might be the first time we get some real action up here, though, as Jax is going to take the turret, but he's going to get jumped on by two people. He's going to try and escape. He's going to burn the flash. He's going to dodge the fear. The J4 is going to show, and that's actually going to be enough to push them off. Less because of the J4 and more because they aren't quite sure where everybody else is, which is a perfectly reasonable, perfect reason to back off there. But unfortunate not being able to trade their turret for something. And is that the first one of the game going to the side of Cerberus?
And it all started off that short trade by that Jax. Got the good chunk. Renekton has to back. It's a cannon wave. Jax with that passive fully stacked shreds through towers and did that just perfectly. And then Q flashes out of the fear range of the Hecarim, and J4 at that time is in for support.
Yeah, for sure. Really impressive stuff there, honestly. Just like heads up play from the Jax, making sure that he was in the right position to be able to pull that off, and knowing like the limits of his champion to get out. But it looks like Mel's going to go ahead and get shut down here, and Duke is going to go ahead and kill the Jax in return. We're going to look at a 1-for-1 trade so far, and it looks like Dragon is going to go to the side of Riftwalkers ultimately after that exchange. Ultimately, Riftwalkers is definitely going to be ahead on that one, having killed two people and made their way out with the Dragon. Or no, it's 2 for 2 in Dragon. Still Riftwalker's advantage, but Cerberus, considering the gold lead that they were dealing with a little bit earlier in the game, is definitely finding ways to make it work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that looked like Cerberus's play to be had, but it was just the Yunara going down too early, and then Krexen just on the back line as Ashe is free firing, getting so many autos off, so many furies off, and just really shredding through that front to back. And then Cerberus had to fall back from there. As I think they're still making a play for this Dragon down here now.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the Dragon didn't go down. I couldn't see it underneath the scoreboard. I thought Riftwalkers picked up the Dragon, but it looks like it's just going to be a reset, and they're going to look to retake. Um, Definitely a little bit of a better position for Riftwalkers, especially considering all the zoning they have between the Seraphine and the Ziggs. But Hecarim isn't exactly the fastest Dragon Taker himself, and if they can find a decent engage here, right now, no, it looks like it's going to go to the side of Riftwalkers, and they're just going to look for the disengage on Cerberus, having taken a little bit too much damage from Poke. It is going to be a little bit tough as J4 gets chased all the way out, and the Ashlow is putting in a lot of work trying to get these chase downs, and they are going to pick up another kill onto Mel.
Yeah, it's so hard to walk into the river when you don't have vision and you don't have mid lane prio. Ash Seraphine has just so much zone control with his Ziggs as well. The poke is just so hard to walk into, and you don't have a really good go button on the side of Cerberus. Your best bet is, Jarvan EQing in, but then Jack can't really follow up unless he's burning flash. Unara's then left alone in the back line, and that just leaves Hecarim to just ult front to back there. And I think that's exactly what Riftwalker will want to do. They want to play front to back if they can, and let this Sarah and Ashe just layer CC over the top with his Ziggs poke going down as well.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely feels like they're having trouble dealing with the poke coming out from the side of Riftwalkers. It's just every time they start a fight, even if their position, like they have to wait so long to find good position. And then once they find good position, it's just still so hard because of how much poke they've taken while trying to find the good position. And then they're just like, well, I guess the fight's like kind of already over. Like, I'm not really sure what else we're supposed to do here. We've done what we were supposed to do, but we still find ourselves like kind of in this disadvantageous spot. You know what I mean?
For sure. Cerberus trying to take over some vision down here around the Baron. Getting good wards down the red side as Magic's going to start sweeping out some of that vision just laid down. Don't want to have a blind Baron. That's one thing you absolutely never want. You want to know at all times, whether you're top side or bot side, what is going on around that Baron pit, whether it's actually being started and it's being contested, or at least if they have vision of it, you kind of know, what that timer looks like depending on where people are showing on the map.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be probably the next like critical point for both of these teams, is making sure that they have enough vision to do what they want to do around the Baron. I think what they want to do is different. I think Cerberus still wants to stretch this game out, try and make up a little bit of this deficit, and wait for this Hecarim to cool off a little bit. Riftwalkers would probably want to take this as soon as possible, I'm going to be honest. I think if I'm Riftwalkers, I am totally fine hitting this Baron and trying to kill the enemy team as quickly as I can. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, if I'm ahead like they are, I mean not a whole lot 3K, but also they can kind of just leverage this 3 dragon advantage and say, okay, pick one. We're either going to be bot and we're going to get soul for free, which is infernal, which is always scary, or you have to be bot side looking at drag while we're going to clear top side vision, and we could be on Baron trying to shred this at any second.
Yeah. And I do want to say, like, as much as it seems like they aren't necessarily ahead that much gold, the fact that it's all on Hecarim at this particular moment in the game is legitimately really hard to deal with, right? Like, Hecarim is a character where you can't really afford to fight them on their power spikes, and this is probably the most powerful. Like, this 5-minute stretch is the most powerful Hecarim is going to be for the entire game. And this is the exact point where you probably don't want to fight him. Like, between like 20 and 30 minutes is where you're like, okay, like, we need to make sure that this Hecarim doesn't snowball harder, and we need to avoid him as much as we can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is a full item up on this Jarvan right now, which is just scary if you're Unara. Lulu does have the Mikhails, and Unara does have cleanse, but still, he could just get on the back line at any time he wants. Mm-hmm. It's so hard for Cerberus to peel, their AD carry. I mean, Lulu is one of the best peel supports in the game, but even then, I just don't know if it's enough. So it looks like they may have magic. Oh no, he's just gonna pony himself out of that one.
Yeah. Looks like, I mean, willing to spend that ulti here too. But every little delay they buy. Oh my god! Wait, what? How did he get there?
The scuffle mid. Yunara went forward on the Ashe and just couldn't quite get the kill, and then Sarah all on top of that.
Oh my god! Renekton is stronger than everybody else not named Jax on their team, and oh, he's gonna barely get out. So much damage on the side of Riftwalkers. This is just... I think this is kind of what I'm talking about, though. Like, this is exactly where you don't want to fight the Fed Hecarim. This mid game is also, like, pretty good for Ziggs, and this is the last point at which Renekton is, like, super duper powerful, right? Like, I just don't think that this fight makes sense to take. Really unfortunate on the side of Cerberus with the Yunara kind of getting caught out up front. I'm legitimately unsure of how she found herself in that location.
She was fighting Ashe 1v1. They were kind of duking it out, and Yunara was getting the better end of that. Ashe had to burn Flash away, and then it was just sort of Riftwalkers. Seraphine and Ziggs came into the picture, and Yunara's teammates just were not that deep to support her, and that just kind of turned all on its head there. And then I respect the Jax to flash after the Renekton to try to get that kill. He's so low, but his 4 teammates are standing right behind him, and it's just even if you get that kill, like, you're really not swinging much in that regard.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a tough spot, but that doesn't mean you compound the failures by just like doing another thing that doesn't really like help us,
For sure. So Riftwalkers, they pull out Soul, so Infernal Soul on the side of them. Baron's still up, and then 6 minutes here on Elder. Because the gold lead has just grown to nearly, silver 6K now. Ashe ult misses.
Yeah, gonna whiff there. J4 on the back end, kind of chasing an out of position Hecarim. Oh, they're actually gonna knock him out of the channel there, and that's a lot of damage onto the Hecarim. It's looking like a potential catch. Mel's going to go ahead and get the execute off. J4 is really, really deep. He's going to get the CC down. Jackson's going to follow up. That's a ton of damage on the backline. This is a huge fight for Cerberus, but Renekton's going to try and jump on the Mel. She's going to get peeled out by the Jackson. That's just enough time to buy her to be able to get out of the fight, and now it's just the Mel against the... Oh, no! The Jackson's blown up!
Ziggs wasn't a part of that fight for the first 30 seconds. He TP's in to a pretty dangerous spot. J4 is right on top of him, and he just makes it all happen. Still deathless on the Ziggs as they just carried that fight. Yeah, zoom in big time. That is one big yordle right there in the mid lane.
Absolutely ruthless play from that Ziggs right there. Showing up late, removing everybody else from the fight, leaving in a cloud of dust. Huge plays from Cerberus to even get them into that situation, but just another lost fight, another little bit of gold that they don't have. And even though this, I don't want to call this lead ballooning, because I think it does like kind of a disservice to both sides as to like what this lead actually looks like, but like I would be remiss to say that it hasn't gotten at least it's about doubled in size over the past 10 to 12 minutes, right?
Yeah, I mean, ever since you spoke about Hecarim, you don't want to fight him at 25 to 30 minutes. That's really where it kind of doubled up there. Went from a 3K gold lead to a nearly 6K gold lead.
Well, if you would simply consider not fighting the Hecarim for that time, perhaps you wouldn't be in this situation, but that, that's neither here nor there.
But as we see, that was just one fight away. Ziggs, if he doesn't have TP there, Cerberus is winning that fight going away, and they're looking Baron right away and flipping this game on its head.
No, for sure. This game is not out of hand at all. That fight was extremely close. Unfortunately, a lot of that gold is going to go back onto the Hecarim and the Ziggs, which is probably where you don't want it at this point. But Jax is going to find himself ahead in his personal matchup for the first time, and they reduced a substantial amount of the lead behind the two carries, even if Seraphine is still very far ahead in gold. I don't think Lulu needs nearly as much gold as Seraphine kind of does. Like, Seraphine, you don't need gold, but it is very nice to have it, whereas Lulu's going to get a lot of her utility off without having to care about it at all whatsoever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she has Michaela, she has Redemption. She's practically full build with Yunara ADC. You'd like to see Ardent Sensor, kind of just buffing up her and letting her kind of glide ideally in team fights.
Mm-hmm. Something to be said for giving your guys like freedom almost, you know?
For sure.
But also like you gotta do what you gotta do. Like
Baron's getting low. So you're gonna burn it. J4 looking for a flank angle. Flashes in, gets the steal. J4 gets the Baron.
Huge play from the J4. They just keep finding these little objectives, or these objectives, despite the losing team fights. This is really split though, and potentially not actually. Oh, huge flash from the Jax being able to get out of the CC from the Ziggs. Ultimately, going to turn it into an even if not slightly winning team fight for the side of Cerberus, as well as bringing in that Baron and having enough health in the Jax to be able to push out this mid lane and potentially get this turret down. This is actually a huge turnaround, potentially the game-winning turnaround for these teams.
Yeah, it's so tough. You just, whenever you're flipping a Baron like that, jungle is up, you need to track them. You need to have their eyes on you all times, and that's just what Riftwalkers didn't do. J4 walks around, he doesn't even EQ in, he flashes in, aura farming it, and then just smites it right under Magician's nose.
Well, you gotta aura farm it. Like, if you're not aura farming it, like, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right, like, then this isn't the league for you, obviously.
Yeah. This league is all about aura farming and high moments. If you don't like, if you want plot, you can go somewhere else. But if you want what really matters here, you come to the right place.
Exactly. And this gold lead is essentially evaporated. You know, 1,500 across at 33 minutes means absolutely nothing. We have Elder spawning, both teams fighting for vision here now.
Not to mention, we're past the point where Hecarim is like the unkillable Rift Sasquatch. Like, he is now a champion who is on the level of most of the other characters in this game. And maybe more important than that, it's not going to get better from here for the Hecarim. These last couple of items are not substantial power spikes for him. And while J4 isn't exactly ever going to be a point in this game where he's like scary, super threatening, more so than the Hecarim, he's definitely going to be catching up in terms of utility. Huge whiff from the Seraphine ult. That's going to give them a potential in on this Elder Dragon. They're looking very split across this wall, and unless they have a plan to be able to get any contest... Oh, but there's enough Ziggs poke to force them out as he jumps over the wall. It's going to be really hard for Hecarim to solo this entire thing by himself, but if they can just find a little bit more damage to try and get this frontline crack, it's just not going to be enough, though, and they're going to get forced all the way off after they lose their top laner. Jack's just not in a spot where he can afford to get CC'd, and he gets caught, has to burn his Zhonya's, and then get blown up directly after.
It was looking so good for Cerberus too. You know, they had mid lane prio. Riftwalkers has to respond to that. Renekton was kind of floating back and forth, not sure where to be exactly. He wants to be with his team, but he also needs to respond to this mid lane. Jack's got a great flank, burning both flashes on Ashe and Seraphine, but it just didn't matter in the end. Cerberus just couldn't continue to walk in. They needed to change their vantage point, maybe walk around. Instead, they kept doing this little dance with the banana bush, and Ziggs Ashe Seraphine is so hard to walk into, despite Ashe and Sarah not connecting on either of their ults.
Yeah, it's just it is a legitimately tough spot to be in, right? Like, not only is it a tough spot to be in, but it's a tough spot to like see, if that makes any sense. Like, it's hard to reason out there that like, hey, we can lose this fight even if this Jax get this engage off, because the engage just looks so ridiculously clean from that angle. You know what I mean?
Oh, if Ashe and Seraphine don't have flash there, Cerberus is taking the fight. They're taking the Elder, and they might have been taking the game there at 35 minutes.
I wouldn't have been surprised at all. I mean, on the other side though, like, Elder is so big for Riftwalker, who's been struggling to find some of that combat power that they started losing when Cerberus started catching up in items, and things started, like, the gold curve started flattening as the game went on. And that's just going to be that extra tick of damage from the dragon, as well as the fact that Cerberus is now playing with 90% health instead of 100, is just so tough to deal with. Not to mention the fact that like this team is built to siege, team is built to poke. Poke with the Elder Dragon buff is significantly more effective than playing like the all-in team comps. And oh my god, oh these Ziggs bombs, this Ash arrow, it just hurts so much.
Oh,
Hecarim's gonna go ahead and pick it up, and that's gotta be it, right? Like that's just gotta be the entire game. J4's in the back line, he just doesn't have enough damage. Elder Dragon executes are gonna go down everywhere except for the Mel, and that's just gonna be game going to the side of Riftwalkers as Mel heroically runs around trying to find any angle, but she just can't. It's just not enough. She's not going to be able to find it. She's going to go down too eventually till they had another Ziggs bomb. Huge performance coming out here from Riftwalkers. Mid laner especially, just delivering this game to them on a platter, 10-1 and 9. Absolutely dominant performance from Duke. Magician looking cracked on the Hecarim as usual. And a tough game for Cerberus, you know, definitely clearly giving their best effort, but really never finding enough tempo to be able to come all the way back.
yeah, that Unara just really never get to fight front to back. You know, all the items just did not give that Unara a chance to really shine. Took that 1v1 in that mid lane, thought, you know, she could kind of flip the game on its head there. If you kill the Ashe, maybe you get some gold back, maybe you get some momentum, but they just could not play through the AD carry when Ashe on the other side is just free fine. The poke, the sustain, it was just too much, just keeping Cerberus at arm's reach that entire game until they walked down the Nexus.
Yeah, I mean that, and like let's also like not neglect to mention Ziggs' damage that game was just disgusting the entire time, right? Like absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
Output from
39k for the
Duke.
Ziggs on the
Yeah,
damage
yeah.
led
And like
everyone.
what are you gonna do about that? Like it is what it is. Like sometimes you just don't have a comp that can take advantage of what is going on the other side, and you just have to live with it, you know what I mean? Like and I think that's one of those where like, hey, our comp is weak to Ziggs, and we're going to have to like this dude's just gonna beat us up. And we're gonna try and find angles to where like that's not necessarily the case, right? But ultimately, like the game just went on long enough to where they no longer had any way to like avoid that eventuality, and the Ziggs just closed the game on them. Especially, again, that Elder Dragon with those Ziggs bombs is just like, come on, man! Like, what are we doing here? Like, how do you ever beat that? Like, realistically, like it's so difficult to find like any game against that particular spot. Um, but I put a lot of respect on Cerberus for even putting themselves in a position after that early game to even like try and make up for it. Like they truly did put their best foot forward. It was just a really unfortunate spot to be in, you know.
Yeah, for sure. The Jacks played really well all games, surviving that early game, but also Renekton on the other side, you know, was just as good. I mean, the Renekton really never fell off despite being an early game champ, and just provided that kind of front line, that sustain that they needed to allow Ashe and Ziggs to kind of sit back, throw poke, and throw out a lot of damage. I mean, it's 28k for the Ashe compared to 15k damage for the Unara, and that kind of spoke volumes in that game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, hey, just want to say congratulations to both teams. Obviously, you know, congratulations to Richtwalker for taking home the win, but also want to make sure that we're giving our kudos to Cerberus, really putting up a crazy good fight, honestly, and like making a real respectable showing there, despite like really tough odds throughout the game. Obviously, like you know. Both teams played really hard, and I think we're going to go ahead and start passing it off to the next couple of casters in the booth. I guess this is me signing off. Do you have anything to say before you sign off yourself?
No final thoughts. Don't go anywhere. Jumbo's Sock Puppet Rodeo coming at you next.
Coming right up. See you soon.